So as you can probably tell by the title and thumbnail of this video, yes, my clownfish have laid eggs.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down!
But before we get into that, let's rewind a little bit so I can catch you up on how this all happened. It all started whenever I wanted to set up my 10-gallon tank again, specifically to breed clownfish in the tank. However, my thought process was that this was going to take a way longer time than it actually did, based off what I read on the internet, with people saying it could take months to years for their clownfish to ever lay eggs. The hardest thing that I had to find throughout this whole process was an adult female clownfish. These are not readily available at every single fish store because the female clownfish has to be at least 2 to 3 years old before it's able to lay eggs. And normally fish stores are only selling 3 to 6 month old clownfish. So I knew it would be hard to do, however I was able to find one at my local fish store. After I got the female, then I had to pair it with a male clownfish, which in my opinion was pretty easy to do as long as you just watch out for the aggression of the fish, because clownfish are territorial and can be aggressive towards other fish. However, I was able to just go pick up a male and put him in the tank and nothing ever happened. No aggression, nothing. It was a very easy and simple process for me. And after all of this was done, then it was just time to wait and see if they would ever lay eggs. I was expecting for this to take months to years based off what I had read. Somehow it only happened within 4 weeks. Now, when I did research for this initially, I did find other things that I could do to the tank to try and make the clownfish breeding an actual possibility a lot quicker. Things like lowering the salinity of the tank and keeping the temperature at a certain level. I guess all this really does work because they laid eggs quick. Everything had been going great in the tank. Nothing was wrong. The only issue that I was having were the hermit crabs that were killing the snails when they eventually did kill every single snail that I put in there. So now we don't have a cleanup crew anymore except for the crabs and the peppermint shrimp. But one night I went up to the tank to go make sure everything was going okay with the clownfish. And I shined my flashlight inside of the tank, and whenever I did, I had noticed that there were eggs all inside of the flower pot. I must have missed them because whenever they lay eggs, they are orange, which may have blended in with the flower pot, as well as the algae that was on the tank glass. And when I found the eggs in the tank, I was completely unprepared. I have nothing ready to go at all, so I immediately went and did some research on what I needed to do to get the eggs to hatch. And as it turns out, these eggs are completely doomed. I can't do anything about it at all because I need to have things on hand like rotifers. You have to have a whole colony of these guys so that way you can feed them to the baby clownfish because it's the only thing that they'll eat in the early stages of their life. And the quickest way I'd be able to get any of these is ordering them online and waiting for them to ship to my house. But I also found that the first couple clutches of eggs that clownfish lay usually aren't good enough to hatch anyways. So I don't feel so bad about not being prepared for this clutch of eggs. But now that they are laying eggs, there are a couple of things that now I have to do. I am going to have to go ahead and order these rotifers and go ahead and get their whole culturing system set up. This cost me about $100 to get them shipped to my house. Hopefully they don't show up dead on arrival. That would really suck. And now I have to keep track of the clownfish egg laying schedule. I don't know when these eggs were initially laid, but I did wait to see if any at all hatched inside of the tank. I never noticed any hatch. Day by day, I did start seeing that there were less and less eggs in the tank. So I knew the eggs were going away, but I didn't know what was happening to them. Maybe the clownfish were eating them, or they were hatching. I have no idea. For this clutch of eggs, the clowns had decided to lay in a spot that was more convenient for me to film. I'm not sure why they moved spots, but it works for me. These will be the eggs I'll try to hatch. A couple days later, the rotifers have arrived and I have all the supplies ready to go. Which is great because this clutch of eggs is going to be ready to hatch in a few days. And I have to culture these rotifers for 3 days in order to have a large enough population of them before I can feed any to the clownfish fry. I opened up the package and on top was an ice pack which was warm by the time I got it. Maybe because the package was left on my porch for 5 hours. This green bottle is the food for the rotifers. And finally, this yellow bag is holding the millions of rotifers that I need. You can't really see them because they are too small, but they look just like dust particles floating around in the water. Now to set up their home. I put salt water in a 5-gallon bucket and lowered the salinity down to the same as the clownfish tank. The rotifers prefer a lower salinity level also. Then I set up the air stone. The rotifers need this to keep oxygen circulating throughout the water. After it was put together, I set it in the bucket and opened up the bag of rotifers to release them in. I poured in some food, but I wasn't sure how much to pour in. The only information that I could find was to pour in enough to tint the water green. I think I could have done too much, but I'm not sure. Now that the bucket is up and running, I have to do water changes every day and feed them twice a day to keep them alive. It's now 3 days later, and I believe it is hatch night for the eggs. They have turned a silver color, and I can see eyes in a bunch of the eggs. So I had to take the pot out of the tank and put it into a hatch tank. I did replace the pot with a new one so the clownfish didn't just get their home taken away. This is the setup so far. I've got the eggs inside this 10-gallon blacked out tank with an air stone flowing over the eggs with some rotifers and food added to the tank. That's why the water looks green. Long story short, nothing happened, no eggs hatched, the rotifer culture smells horrible, and it seems dead. So I think this was a failure. So now the only thing that I can do is spend more money and get more rotifers. They arrived at my house, and this time when I opened the package, I got instructions with them on how to truly culture the rotifers. Inside the box was the same stuff as last time, rotifers and food. But I also got a bonus item, these pods. I'm not sure what I'll do with these, but for now, I'm just going to put them in my fridge. One thing I didn't do the first time was acclimate the rotifers. So this time I'm going to go ahead and acclimate them for about 15 minutes in the water. This time I also got this filter floss to help keep the water clean inside the bucket. So I taped it to the side. The instructions told me how much food I need to feed the rotifers, so I measured out the correct amount and poured it in. Now all I have to do is release the rotifers. This time I also actually put the air stone on the bottom of the bucket. I'm sure that'll help too, and not just circulate the top of the water. I made tons of mistakes with the first culture, but this bucket is looking a lot better, which is great because the clownfish are back at it with a new clutch of eggs. That's going to be it for this video. If you'd like to see if I can actually get these eggs to hatch, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.